Hi guys. I thought I would answer something that we get asked a lot, which is scheduling and how it works and how long a project takes. I've got an example that I prepared earlier this week for an actual client, and this is sort of a good indicator of a project that has a lot of complex parts to it. This will be for a built-in banquette, so it has built-in elements, number one, upholstery, metal, powder coating, and it's going into a building downtown. It's on the 30th floor, so there's some coordination with the building involved. So we're going to start at the beginning. So typically, somebody calls, this was a furniture dealer who has a corporate end user client, and they called and said, hey, we have a project. So the next step would be a meeting, which we got to pretty quickly. I think we had it scheduled within about a week for this particular project, but that also depends on all of the end users being available too. The next step would be concept drawings based on what I've learned in that meeting. So usually those happen within about 1 to 4 weeks, depending again on the complexity of the project. This project, we're going to have the concept drawings back to them 2 weeks from our initial meeting. Then the approval of concept drawings is in the client's hand. I usually schedule about a week for that, but it could be more or less. Then upon approval of concept drawings, we quote. That project, this one I'm going to have in about 3 days afterwards. It could be a day, it could be a week. It really sort of depends again on what we have in the shop already in the office and the complexity of the project. So then I've got another week for the client to approve the quote. Could be more, could be less, don't know. And then upon approval of the quote, we will invoice for 75% deposit, and that can usually happen in like a day. We already know what we're invoicing for, so that part's really easy. Payment happens next. Again, I have another week. I usually schedule like for a week for the client, sometimes two, just to be realistic. Especially corporate clients, there's a lot of bells and whistles and approvals that they need to go through and maintain, so sometimes it takes a little while. Upon payment of the invoice, we'll go and do a site field verification just to make sure that we know all the things we need to know: the elevator, freight elevator dimensions, the turning radiuses of everything, the path of travel from the loading dock to where it's going, all the things. Usually we try to get that scheduled within a week of our deposit payment. Again, it'll depend on kind of what's going on in the shop. After that, we'll do shop drawings and finished samples for the client. And on this one, we're going to have those in about 2 weeks after our site visit. Sometimes that can take 4 weeks or longer, depending on, again, all of the things that are going on at the time. Approval of shop drawings and finishes, I've given a week for the client. This one usually actually takes longer. I've had some samples out to another client for over a week now. It's another corporate client, and again, they just have a lot of chains of command to go through, and they're doing their regular job too. Once they approve that for this particular project, we have 14 weeks of fabrication, and that is going to include powder coat and upholstery and final assembly, so that is a tight schedule. We're trying to meet a deadline for them. Our schedule is going to allow for it this summer, but usually for something this complex, it could take up to 18 weeks. And then I just schedule a week for installation. It won't take a week usually, but we never know exactly when we're going to be able to go in. So that is that. So let's count for this project: 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 24, 25, a minimum of 25 weeks from the moment they call till this project's going to go in. Sometimes we work on projects for years at a time. Earlier is always better, so if you can get us in early, we appreciate that. But this was a good example of what you should plan for and how a schedule will go. Looking forward to our next project.